Hello there, welcome to part 3 in the video series with my 981 GT4. This is the kind of the third part in the series. First video was dropping the car off, second one was a little quick reveal. I still cannot believe how amazing my car looks. The colour is deeper, the gloss, we'll go through some of the sort of coatings that have been applied. Absolutely amazing. What I'm going to do, I'm going to bring Ryan on camera because he knows what he's done to the car. All I know is that it looks absolutely amazing. Ryan, you've done a cracking job, mate.
Thank you very much.
You took all the PPF off.
Yep.
Did it come off easier than you thought, harder, or?
It didn't come off that easily. I've had worse. The glue didn't separate from the film for the most part, which was nice. You had different film on the front bumper and rear bumper as opposed to the rest of the car, which is quite common. Okay. You know, if anything's going to get scuffed or damaged, it's going to be bumpers. So it's potential that someone did replace the PPF if they had some sort of issue.
How could you tell it was different out of interest? Like
the way it comes off. The glue was way more aggressive on the front bumper than it was to the wing, the bonnet, the roof, the doors. Okay. So as you're pulling it off, a lot more glue was getting left behind, and you could feel it was, you know, the structure of it just felt different. Wow. So it's definitely a different film on the bumpers. I mean, I'm quite
pleased that this section's come up really well because that had the most impact on.
That's obviously where you're going to get most of your impact. Is front bumper, and then proceeding backwards, then the front of the car is going to get the most damage.
Yeah.
You know, what's the mileage currently? I can't.
About 26,000.
I mean, to have only had a couple of penetrations on the whole front end of the car, that sort of mileage is incredible. PPF is great, and that's exactly what it's designed to do. So it's done the first 6 years of the life of this car a big service. Tell
me about like this gloss, because like I'm not used to seeing it like this. So is this the coating? That's it doesn't translate, but it's so low friction.
So it's obviously going to feel much slicker because you've got a ceramic coating on there. You didn't have that on your previous film. Yeah. So that slickness is going to be from the coating. The gloss is a number of things. Removing the old film that had yellowed quite a bit. That's a big, you know, that's going to change the pigment of the colour.
Actually, can we bring some of that on camera quickly?
Yeah.
So he's just going to go grab some of the old PPF. So all the PPF that came off my car, it's actually in Ryan's hands. That's everything, isn't it? Like,
that's the whole car.
I haven't actually, but look at this. So this is, with even the lettering, that's the Porsche lettering that's come off the back. So you can just by looking at this stuff, you can see that it's certainly not absolutely clear. I guess some parts have discoloured more than others, but if you want to see what the PPF on a Cayman looks like, it's literally this ball of PPF up here. So
here's a bit. This is an offcut, obviously.
Okay.
There's no pattern to it, but I'll peel this off.
Wow. That's the Xpel that's gone on my car. Okay.
So the clarity, I don't know how well it will translate.
Yeah. So it actually looks like matte. It looks not very translucent.
That's just because of the glue. Obviously, when you press that up against my hand, you know, that translucent goes away. It's just the adhesive when you're looking at it.
And does the adhesive that activates with the liquids that you put down, or is it?
So the two solutions that we use is a slip solution and a tack solution.
Okay.
There's also an installation gel that some people use, but it doesn't particularly react per se. The slip solution is a mixture of water and baby shampoo, which is used to shuffle it around.
Do Xpel provide that, or you just go and get baby shampoo?
No, just go and get it from Tesco's.
Okay.
Yeah. There are film-specific shampoo. Baby shampoo is the best product for what I've, you know, in my experience, I like baby shampoo, and that's generally what most people use. So you use a slip solution, which allows you to shuffle the film around on the car and align the points where they need to be aligned when you're using patterns, obviously. And then you squeegee out the slip solution. The tack solution you would use to stick a corner down, or, you know, basically what a tack solution does is it's alcohol and water. Okay. So it deactivates and dissolves the shampoo, so it allows it to stick a bit quicker.
Well, I remember these are the headlights. So just to clarify, and it's something I didn't know about until we encountered it, is The PPF on the headlights is the old PPF, and we've left that like that on purpose because I might as well let you explain why.
Basically, there's been a lot of reports of when removing film from Porsche headlights, and it's Porsche headlights in specific on that it pulls the UV coating that's on them, the UV lacquer, because it's quite soft. There's a relatively, it's not too bad on a Cayman, more so on a 911. There's a relatively large amount of tension across the surface of the headlight on a Porsche, because they dome both ways. So you know when I said about the stretch, to get the film to lie flat around here, you have to pull it forward and stretch it along a little bit. It's the same with the headlight. So an actual pattern for this headlight would start here and then end about here, and you would have to stretch it slightly to get it to lay flat all the way around the shape of the headlight. So that puts a bit of tension on it. And the coating itself on Porsche headlights is quite soft, and it's been known to delaminate, and it's quite inexpensive.
I mean, if you put in Porsche headlight delamination, you'll see all the pictures, like you get these crow's feet, either it's the entire lens or just around the edges. But I guess, I don't know if that's UV damage, but because I had PPF on in the first place, hopefully that stopped UV damage happening to the UV coating. And then I didn't want to risk them, Ryan taking that PPF off, because then I'm in a whole another world of pain. So,
It's just a risk. It's one that I always present to the client at install and potential removal, is that this has been known to happen. If you're happy to bear the risk, then that's absolutely fine. I'll put the film on or I'll take it off. But it's just, from an installer's point of view, we can't take much responsibility for it, because it's down to the coating that Porsche put on those headlights. So we make you aware before touching them, and it's up to the client if they want to go ahead with either which way, putting it on, taking it off.
Cool. I kind of got carried away with my train of thought, but let's go back to when you took all the PPF off, took the glue residue off. What were the swirls like under the car?
It was a little bit swirly. I wouldn't say it was due a paint correction. The film's been on there a long time. I can't imagine the paintwork is in a terrible state before they put it on. But yeah, I mean, very good condition. Like I said, you had a couple of penetrations through the film in a few places, but nothing murderous. We touched a couple in, and we've hidden them as best as we can. I mean, they're not standing out to you, which is the main thing.
And you kind of mentioned that, PPF sort of can lift. So I'm going to be driving this car, or I'm not going to wash the car, but if it were to lift, is it around tight edges where, it's under a lot of pressure, or can it just be? It can
be. It generally just tends to be luck of the draw. Most of the time you don't get any lift.
Okay.
But you can potentially, a corner here or there could start to raise slightly. And because we're our tolerances on getting close to edges is a mil, 2 mil. We're getting as much coverage as possible. It can, these edges can fray slightly and hold on to a bit of dirt. So we just like to address that stuff early rather than later.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it can happen. That's why we like to do that courtesy first wash, so that we can wash it, have a look around all the edges, make sure that everything's sitting how it should be sitting. And then off you go again.
I can't promise it'll be that clean when I bring it back, because it's a bit of a trip planned.
Yeah, that's all right, yeah.
Hello there, welcome to another video from Max REVS. This is the third time I'm down here at Huntsmouth. Here's Ryan. Hey, how you doing, Ryan?
Very good, thank you.
Now, just to put this all into context time-wise, the France trip has been done. Obviously, the PPF was done prior to the France trip, and I thought I'd round out this video with this insert over here. So, essentially, the PPF was done. We did a France trip. A few little things happened with the PPF, or just I think Ryan called them fingers, but I'll show you the pictures, they'll be up on screen now. You got a few little things lifting, so just to sort of clarify, when I got the car, it was absolutely perfect, none of these things. And then obviously while I'm in France, I'm going, oh my God, what do I do now? Some of these little things have popped up on the PPF. There's a little bit of lifting there and getting some dirt in the edges, and I'm going, oh my God, how do I sort of deal with this? Going back to Ryan saying, the car was brilliant when I picked it up, and I got these little things that have cropped up. As you see, the pictures are up on screen. Engaging with Ryan, he said to me, Max, I did tell you to bring the car back to me for its first wash, after 3 or 4 weeks. I said, yeah, I know, but I just thought you were going to wash the car or something. I didn't quite know what it means. So what's happened is, and I'll let Ryan talk about this in a bit more detail, PPF, after it's been installed, things can happen, certain things can lift, you can get a bit of dirt in edges and stuff like that. And I was going, oh my God, it's an adhesive on the back of the PPF. Once dirt gets in, it's never going to come out. And I mean, my mental state is like, I'm getting a bit stressed and stuff. So I spoke to Ryan, showed the stuff to him, and I guess you were pretty factual about this thing. Yeah. This thing can sort of sometimes happen. Yeah. You fixed it all. It looks like it's all gone. So could you maybe tell us about maybe why that stuff can happen, how often you see it happen on cars, and just the fact that you didn't seem that surprised. No. I guess obviously beforehand when I left, you didn't want to scare me because I guess it just doesn't happen on everything, but they're quite curvy cars. Yep. I think I let the PPF sit for 4 days before we kind of drove off on the trip. But I guess if we can maybe talk about, once PPF is done, can you generally drive it straight after the work's been done? Should you, I don't have a garage, but should people put it in a cocoon for a month and then drive it? Or, you know? Well,
look, we get it as perfect as we can. We want to get it as well fitted as we possibly can. But things can happen. You're taking it out on the road, you're driving it in all sorts of weather, and you obviously did more than most people would probably do when they leave getting their car done. So we always invite every client to come back for a free of charge maintenance clean, just to check all the edges are sat how they should. No dirt has built up where it should or shouldn't. Just shouldn't. We had a couple of little fingers that, obviously this is a really high impact area, and we had a couple of tiny little fingers that started to raise. So we cleaned them out, put them back down, used a little bit of adhesion. We replaced your lower rear spoiler bit, which again, we just had a little bit of dirt ingress along an edge. It happens. It's a part of the process. And if you have viewers who are getting this sort of work done, they should feel comfortable going back to their installer to say, look, there's a tiny little bit of dirt here. Fine, perfectly normal. Let's sort it. And that's part and parcel of getting PPF done. It's basically sticky back plastic stuck on your car, and we get it as close to perfect as we can, but things happen, you know. It is what it is. That's why that's there as a completely complimentary service. And the reason for making this video is, like, choose whoever you want to do to get your own PPF work done, but things can happen. And I guess I know other people on the channel that have had PPF done, that have spoke about dirt in their edges, and they haven't gone back to the shop that did their work. So I think that's something I did kind of find here, is that I did have to come back to you, but thankfully that was part of the service. Look, you know, 95% of the time, 9 out of 10, whatever the ratio is, we don't have issues like this. There were only a couple of little areas, but you sent me some pictures. I said, okay, cool, nothing to worry about, pop the car back. We were going to do that anyway, and we'll address it. Nice and easy stuff to sort out. And you just don't know it, that, you know, for example, at the bottom there, it is a used car and the PPF didn't quite go all the way round, so there's a couple of little air pockets where some impact is there and the film wasn't lying perfectly flat. So, you know, we clean it out, a little bit of adhesion promoter, we put the film back down, absolutely fine. No, you've done a great thing, and you've also kind of like helped me, you know, deal with my own kind of anxieties, because, you know, Ryan would say, like, PPF first and foremost, it is protection. I think if you want the ultimate in terms of looks and you don't want to see any edges, well, then don't have PPF. Yeah. But then again, it's a car and you have to drive the car, so then it is, you know, paint protection film. Its first and foremost function is to protect the paintwork. Secondary to that is then we want it to look as perfect as we can. We want it to look as invisible as possible. That's not completely possible because there's limits to the film. Certain cars of different shapes that just aren't that easy to do that with a sheet of plastic film. And then, you know, things like this, it's part of it, you know, that's why it's there. Part of me is a little bit like, I don't like these things happening, but I also have to accept, and installers also have to accept, that these things happen. And that's why most installers that are worth using, when you go and speak to them, they will tell you, come back in a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, few drives, whatever, just so we can have a look around it and check these sorts of things, because it happens. So there you go. If you've made it to the end of the video, if you're going to get PPF done, it's protection first and foremost. You may see edges. In fact, you do see edges, but that's part of the whole
process. That's there, it's protection. If you, at the end of the day, we're supposed to drive these cars and enjoy them. And I had great fun driving this car in France. If this car was just sat somewhere in a lockup, I wouldn't enjoy it. So there's an element of like just understanding what PPF offers and just, you know, enjoying the most use of your car. I love the car. I'm planning to have loads more miles now, although it's coming towards the end of the season, so I'm not sure. I've got a track day next week, believe it or not. So that'll be another video on this channel. Enjoying life in cars to the max, and yeah, stay safe, stay tuned. Thanks for your work on the car ride.
My pleasure.
All right, see ya. There we go.